Aloha, welcome back to Grow Tropical Fruits. Today I wanted to do a quick update video on how some things are progressing, or how the air layers are doing that I did on video last. So we'll head over to the tree now and see what they're doing. So here's my Sabara that's in a 25-gallon pot. I did a pruning video on it as well as an air layer video on it. Down here you can see where I attempted the air layer originally. Spoiler alert, it was not successful. I believe there's one or a couple of reasons why it wasn't successful. After I went back and watched the video of how I did it, I noticed that when I wrapped the roots around it, the sphagnum moss, I didn't go far enough above the girdle, because at the time I was under the impression the roots were going to come out of this girdled area and not above here. So one word of advice is when you do wrap it, you want to have the wrap covering the girdle as well as above the girdle on the bark. That is where the roots will come out of. Not below and not right here, but you do need to cover this area. And I think I was covering above it. The other factor that I think played a role is the sphagnum moss I used was sitting out open. And I think some banana moss laid its larvae inside these grubs, because when I pulled this off, there were a lot of grubs kind of burrowing into the bark and the wood and stuff, so I had to evict all of them when I pulled it off. And there was also ants in there. Ants, I don't know if they played a factor, but they were there. So those are the three things that I contribute that may have played some role. But again, this one I think I did wrap above the girdle enough where it should have developed roots. So I think it was mostly the banana grubs that were eating the roots and causing problems. So having a sterile planting mix that hasn't been exposed outside where bugs can get into it is probably the first thing that you'd want to work with. Also, I was struggling in that video to because I was using a knife instead of a pair of vice grips like I normally like to use. But anyway, so up here I set up another air layer on the same branch to see if it would work this time up here. I don't expect it to work, but it was just one of those might as well try. But I think this branch is probably already mostly dead. So I don't think this one's going to work. But in the meantime, I had these other branches that were also growing really close to each other and kind of intertangled. So I decided to set up an air layer on this one. What's different with this air layer is I did change the hormone. Instead of using NAA hormone, I used just natural aloe vera that I cut off of the plant and put the gel all over it. I don't think it's necessarily better. It was just kind of another experiment because I saw it being recommended and I thought I'd give it a try. The one interesting thing I noticed, and you probably have already noticed, is that after I air layered this branch and this branch alone flowered and fruited. This tree has fruited a couple times before, but it's been very sparse and maybe put out like a half dozen fruits at any given moment. I had one other fruit, but it got knocked off by a bird. It was still ripe and edible, and they didn't really break into it too much. This one looks like it's probably got pecked at by a bird up here because I didn't protect it. But this one, I think it's hopefully protected enough. I'm gonna squeeze it and see if it's ripe. It's close. I might pick it, but I'll probably let it stay another day or two. When it has a little bit of give to it, that's when it should be ready. I'll wrap that up. Hopefully I remember to wrap that up so I don't lose it to a bird. I also did a quick prune on this to open up the canopy a bit, let more light come through, because it was really bushy again after my first pruning. Like here you can see all that I cut off, or that's not all of it, there's some scattered here and there, but now it's a little bit easier to see in there, and hopefully the flowers will start to develop and the pollinators can get in there, and hopefully not too many birds will get in there, but that's just a sacrifice I'm willing to take if necessary. Let's see what else, updates. So I did do an air layering video on my wax Jambu, and that one also failed. So this is the spot where I set up the air layer. I think this one was the example where I for sure did not wrap it above the union. Wax Jambu is really easy to air layer, and I've done a couple successfully already, and I wasn't sure what I did wrong since I used the vice grips and everything. But when I pulled it off, I noticed, oh, I didn't even cover above the girdle, and that's the reason why. It did flower and fruit along with the rest of the tree at the time of it being still on there, but then the tree got so much fruit on it that it broke the whole branch off. Actually, several branches broke right off because of too much fruit. This is the first time fruiting. It's a 2-year-old tree. If I stand back, you can see it's like, I don't know, 10 to 12 foot maybe tall. So 2 years, it's grown that much. I'm gonna set up a bunch of air layers and prune it back. In the meantime, I did another air layer, not on video, but if you look here, you can see that there are roots growing in the ball. It is drying up a little in there, I think, so I'm gonna probably pull this one off. I've been squirting into the top nutrient water to just kind of keep it happy. But that's another successful air layer that can come down probably right now or just soon. So another update I can look at would be some grafts. So this tree here, I did multi grafts onto it, like cocktail tree. The original ones I did were down here. It's like a Polyester. There's a couple Polyestas up here. There's a Grimmel, another Polyester, another Grimmel, another Grimmel. As you can tell, I had a Grimmel and Polyester and not many places to graft, so those got on there multiple times. But since then, I've put on several more. So starting from the bottom, you can see this one here is, I couldn't remember what one it was when I had the scion because I was doing several trees. So I wrote that it's either red hybrid, red ESALQ, or Hestinga. So I think it's actually Hestinga based on the leaves because they're a little bit curvy, a little bit pink when they come out new growth. Moving upward, here I have from my anomaly seedling. I did a pretty small graft on there, but that was successful, and that was grafted 5/26 of this year. Further up is for sure an ESALQ. That one I did not mistaken, and the leaves look significantly different than the Hestinga. A red hybrid right here. So this is all red hybrid off of that branch. Here's a failed graft I did before this set. Moving to this side, Novax cauliflower. That one's trying to take on the new growth, but it's probably getting beat up by some bugs or the heat from the sun. On the back here, I'll try and come around. Here's a Hestinga graft right there. And see any other successful ones. I think that's it for now. But I have plenty more that I'm going to graft onto this. This is just kind of a start. This tree is like maybe 8 foot tall, including the pot. It's grown quite a bit. I've had it over 2 years, but it was probably 3 or 4 years old when I bought it. So I'm hoping it's close to fruiting, that Sabara. Here's this red hybrid I have. It has put out 1 flower so far, and that did not set a fruit. But looking at it closer today, I can see that there is going to be more flowers coming. So right there, looks like there's some buds kind of lining up all over the place. Some bumps coming up on it all over. So those ones I'm not sure, they might be later down the road, but at least that for sure is going to be a flower. Whether it sets a fruit will be a good question. What else is going on? There's looks like a peanut butter fruit ready to pick. This peanut butter fruit tree is about 2 years old from seed. Yeah, perfectly tree ripened. It's a good size too. It's about as big as I've seen. Same with this tree. It's probably 9 foot tall, 8 foot tall. It's starting to rain on me. I have my miracle fruit tree, bush, whatever you want to call it. It finally started setting fruit, and it had, I don't know, a dozen, well, maybe half a dozen fruit on it that I've enjoyed. And now I can see there's probably at least another half dozen or so fruits on there, getting ready to be ripened. I did set up an air layer on this golden Dorset apple, but I don't see any roots on it yet, so I don't know that it's something that's easy to root or if it's just something I did incorrectly. Here's some cacao, new growth, flushing out pretty nicely. Hopefully the bugs don't eat it all up like they normally do. Then you can look at this ESALQ. This tree is looking really nice for only being a couple years old. It's probably 4 foot tall now. That one will probably plant out very soon because it's just grown straight up, and I can plant straight up trees. It's the big bushy ones that I'm going to have trouble finding space for. This Spirito, it's got some new growth. It's very attractive. I like the dark color on it. Some red hybrids. Here's that double rootstock graft Grimmel. They put out new growth since I did that, so it doesn't look unhappy. This ESALQ has decided to take a very leaning approach to try and gather more sun, I guess. So 2 ideas I have is just let it stay this way and let it keep growing sideways and plant it up in this area and let it just hang over. Other idea is to unpot it, repot it kind of this way so that this is more upright, and then I can maybe prune off this top part of the branch to make it, I can graft it onto something else and then make it the tree more balanced to left and right. Got some mulberries. Here's a Polyester Graft. Same time I grafted those other ones, but this one has just done really well. Here's the graft union right there. And it just decided to split from that spot. And it's got some new growth. This is probably one of the most impressive trees just because it's constantly putting out something here and there. And it's somewhat common, so that's pretty cool that there's a lot of Polyestas out there. Hope you enjoyed the update video. I apologize for posting a video in which it was not successful in air layering, but again, I've just want to express that this is purely experimental what I'm doing. I'm not an expert. I'm just playing with knives and hoping that I can make some trees manipulated in the way that I want them to be. So go out there, try and graft things, try and air layer some things that are growing into your yard and kind of taking up space and you're going to prune off anyway. Try and utilize that moment to make a clone of that tree, and then you can give it away to a friend and then they can enjoy that tree in their yard. And worst comes to worst, maybe if it's unsuccessful, maybe you'll just at least fruit and you'll enjoy some fruits a little earlier than the rest of the tree wants to. They call that probably a death bloom, where you've stressed out the tree, or in this case the branch, so it's forced itself into a reproductive cycle to try and pass on its genes instead of, dying without having any sort of offspring. So that's my hypothesis to why that branch flowered and not the rest of the tree. It looks like the tree is gearing up and it might push out some flower buds, but I don't see any obvious signs yet. Whereas this red for sure has some obvious signs of little flower buds forming. But anyway, you guys enjoy yourselves and aloha.